going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the NBA Slate Starter Podcast. I'm Eric, joined with my buddy Ryan as we break down Wednesday's massive 12-game NBA DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Today was kind of interesting. 3-game slate. We had Chalk Anthony Gill Day. What a time to be alive. How's that going for you, Rinpack?
We'll see if I have enough. Not the sentence I was hoping to say at the start of the day or start of the slate, but it's a short slate, NBA DFS slate. Anything really goes, and clearly that's what's going to end up happening.
Yeah, I hope we log off to some goodies here because I had near lock button Reggie Jackson on FanDuel, which was great. I also had near lock button Nicholas Batum, so that's not great. So that's probably going to be the demise of my night. But otherwise, it was a fun 3-game slate. So we'll see how it all turns out for us here. But nobody wants to hear about that when we have a 12-gamer to look forward to for tomorrow. So let's get right to that. Before we do, get down to that bottom bar, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all the other content at Awesemo is going live. We're making a push for 50K subs before the Super Bowl. We're at 49.4K. We are making our way up. So please hit that subscribe button. It does wonders for us. So otherwise, we're going to go position by position like we always do. You ready to get going, Ryan?
Let's do it. It's a 12-game slate, and we're going to get this under 30 minutes for you guys tonight.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Ready, begin. Luka Doncic, he's 10,900. He's very good at basketball. He does things that nobody else can do. It's outrageous watching him play. I thought he was going to go for like 90 the other night. He ended up coming in, just disappointing big time with an 86.25 DraftKings points day. So very, very disappointing. How dare he not go for 90? James Harden sitting there at 10,100. Still waiting for those prices to come down on those Brooklyn Nets. I just can't do 10K. I know Harden has some upside where he could go off, but he's just not shooting right now. I mean, 9 and 10 shot attempts in his last 2 games. That's not going to get it done. I like seeing his assist rate getting near double digits every single time. So I like seeing that he had 11 and 8 assists in those games, but hard to imagine that there's like triple-double upside still for him there when he's not going to be rebounding the ball nearly as much as what he was with the other 2 on the court with him, and definitely not going to get the same shooting volume. So 10,100 might be a little pricey for me there. Steph Curry, 9,300. He saw a massive $100 boost in this exact same matchup. Like, come on. Steph Curry, 9,300 looks great out there. And then to finish out the position, we'll just go Trae Young. We'll group him in there, 9,200, because he's in another good spot there in that fast-paced Brooklyn game. I'm sure that over-under when we pull it up is going to be ridiculous tomorrow. So talk to me about top end of point guard.
Yeah, I'm going to like Steph Curry quite a bit against this Minnesota matchup. He went on a nice fourth quarter Curry run of his where he just banged out a couple threes to put Minnesota away. And I expect him to start hot. Yet again, he kind of went cold in the middle of the game against Minnesota last time out. I'm going to like Steph Curry quite a bit. Probably one of my favorite players to roster tomorrow's slate with pricing and everything considered. $9,600 on FanDuel, $2,000 saving off of Luka Doncic seems very, very appealing. Kyrie Irving is $9,200 against Atlanta on FanDuel. I think he's one of those Brooklyn guys is always going to be good. There's going to be a second one who might get there always as well. Just because we know where those 3 guys are going to be kind of hogging the offense, and Harden's going to be mainly a facilitator. We'll see what Harden ends up doing. He kind of caught fire in the fourth quarter to like even just crack 40 points, 40 fantasy points that is. So guess what? James Harden's playing out at Atlanta. Everyone knows what the narrative is going to happen there, but hopefully it's in quarantine. None of that's going to be happening for him. So I'm going to like Trae Young again, $9,200 against this pretty piss poor Brooklyn defense that we've seen so far since the trade has gone down. I think he's a nice option over there in DK, $9,200 on the top end. In terms of value and some spend down options, I think we need to start considering Darius Garland. He played mid 20 minutes last time. He's priced all the way down to $4,600 against Detroit. I'm going to like Garland a decent amount as well. On FanDuel, it seems like a position where I want to really spend up on. Garland is $5,200, makes for a viable option, nothing too great. I think LaMelo Ball's price tag is down to $6,400, but his minutes have come down along with it. There's going to be a game where Borrego is going to roll him out because LaMelo Ball is kind of hot, and you're going to have to roll with him. Monitor also the Westbrook back-to-back situation. I don't think he's going to play tomorrow. There's going to be some value that opens up in the Washington point guard situation with Raul Neto, who came back today, was limited. We'll see what the situation with him is. Other than that, you maybe have to consider a Cassius Winston at the minimum at $3,500, but seems a little too ahead for us to know what's going to happen. So monitor the new situation at Awesemo NBA. But that's kind of where I stand right now. It's a huge slate. There's going to be a bunch of point guards who are going to be really good tomorrow.
Yeah, and there's going to be point guards at every single price range that you can kind of look at. I think that's kind of the story of a 12-game NBA slate where every position should be loaded because you're getting 24 teams to be picking from. So you better like your lineup the way that it looks tomorrow. I gotta say that if you're building only a couple and you don't like the way that your lineup looks, you gotta redo it. Obviously you don't need to be super chalky. You don't need to go crazy, but like you can be not chalky by default and play good plays. I mean, there's going to be guys at every single price tier, at every single position that you can look at. But definitely the guy that I had kind of keyed in on there was Darius Garland, 4,600. If he starts regaining some of those minutes, like if he can get up to 30 minutes there, that's just too cheap. And it doesn't look pretty seeing, 15, 15, 20 in the last three. But, he's obviously coming back from injury there. But a nice hike up to 26. If he can get to 30 minutes, that's just a great spot to be looking at. So anybody else that you kind of want to discuss before we move on?
Now let's hop on right over to the shooting guard position.
Yeah, again, these are just like your Spark Note version. We want to take a look at them here, give you our first impressions for it, and give you something useful going into tomorrow. But there will definitely be news. There will definitely be value that exists in a couple hours or in 12 hours for sure that we had no idea even was there. So getting to the top end of shooting guard, we'll start over on FanDuel for this. Bradley Beal, 10,300, looked pretty darn good here tonight. Obviously, nothing like setting the world on fire. He's gonna be pretty. What's he at right now? Did you see his last number?
I have not seen it where he's at. I believe I think he got to around. He's at high 30 fantasy points right now. So
okay, so and he's still going. He's got a fourth quarter coming up. So I just say that because a lot of recency bias there. And if Russell Westbrook does sit 10,300, he's going to be popular and he should be popular. He would be your top spend up option for sure at the position. 9,800 James Harden. Not for me, but I could totally understand. It's James Harden. He has an upside anywhere. At least that number is now down below that 10K number, but I think it's still got a little ways to go if he's just going to be a facilitator. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is now your third highest shooting guard on this massive 12 gamer. He's just been good, even in like only 32 minutes last time out, 49.8 up against Portland. He is the offense of OKC. Now, Al Horford might possibly be back tomorrow. That might take a little bit of a knock, but it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He is the offense there in OKC, so I have no problem at 8,500 there. Donovan Mitchell at 8,200, who's just getting going here right now as we're recording this. And the last guy that I'll include in that grouping, DeMar DeRozan, sitting at 7,900, was in foul trouble for that Washington game, just got done burning everybody. I have a lot of interest in going back there. How about you, Rinpack?
Yeah, I think Bradley Beal is going to be obviously very interesting with potentially no Russell Westbrook. 10-3. We know what Beal's upside could be. 60 fantasy points could definitely be in play. I think we definitely need to be considering Bradley Beal as a cornerstone of many of our lineups tomorrow. VanVleet, 7,900. He's just very consistent. It seems like VanVleet's very rarely really burns you. He seems to be always above 30 fantasy points and hovers around the low 40 fantasy point area. And at 7,900, on a 12-game slate, you really need everyone to really smash value. I don't mind VanVleet. If he's like your last man in, I'm okay with it. It's against Milwaukee, so we'll see what ends up happening. I think I like D'Angelo Russell if he plays. Granted, he is questionable. Maybe there's a minutes limit, but if Russell's going to play, Minnesota really, really needs him. Without Russell without Cat, that team is really, really bad. So pardon me if I was about to say a really bad word, but they're really, really bad. Russell, 7,500. I like that quite a bit. SGA against Phoenix. Someone who I forgot to mention the point guard position. I'm going to like Chris Paul quite a bit. He's in the mid sevens on both sides. He was sensational in a matchup that went to overtime without D-Book. Without Booker, again, I think we're going to have to like Chris Paul quite a bit. So I accidentally passed over that Chris Paul price tag. So keep that in mind as well. Other options consider. Andrew Wiggins was sensational. Put up high 40 fantasy points against Minnesota. Put up 6 stocks. You're going to like 6 stocks from Andrew Wiggins quite a bit. $6,800 on FanDuel. I like that quite a bit looking at that. $6,700. Let's ride with Wiggins. He's definitely standing out to me. Some spend down options to consider in the shooting guard position on DK. Neto is $4,300. Keep in mind what the minute situation is going to look like. Jeremy Lamb got to 33 minutes out of nowhere, really, and has been playing well for Indiana. And 33 minutes of Jeremy Lamb, $5,200, $5,100 against his former team. I think he's definitely a nice mid-tier value option that we need to be considering. And I can't go the shooting guard position without mentioning Buddy Hield, who is now down to $5,500 on FanDuel. He doesn't look good, but I have a Buddy Hield problem, so I am going to probably have to roster Buddy Hield tomorrow. Other spend down options. Does anyone else stick out to you, Eric?
I'm so mad at you. Seriously, Buddy Hield on a 12-game slate. We're gonna dip our toes in that pool. Like, oh my God. Rinpack, we got to have a talk. However, that was really funny there a second ago too. Anywho, I'm looking around, and I mean, there's guys all over the place. I'm gonna have interest in a lot of these Pelicans tomorrow in this Washington matchup. We know how bad Washington is defensively. We know how the kind of pace that they play with. Westbrook off the floor, maybe it doesn't really matter either way. I want to target Washington. So sitting Eric Bledsoe 5,500 over on FanDuel. We just saw him really get there against Minnesota. This is somehow an even better or equal matchup, and so I am happy to go back to Eric Bledsoe. I don't feel like that's chasing at all considering the matchup. So 5,500, I feel really good about him. Looking around some other spots like Wayne Ellington against Cleveland, not really going back to that direction. He's been shooting a little bit over his head, so kind of in my fade list. I doubt you really need to be that thin on this slate as well. Kind of like looking around, Marcus Smart has been like sneaky good here the last couple. In limited minutes, 27 and 25 minutes the last two. He's put up 41 and a half FanDuel points the last two. I could imagine if he got to 30, 35. Now, again, I'm not just plugging him in for 41 there, but he makes for a mid-level option 6,600. I'm happy to go back there. I know Tatum's back, but Tatum was back last game and played, a surprising amount of minutes, and Smart still looked really, really good. Somebody that can possibly spike a stock upside. So Marcus Smart would be like one other guy on FanDuel that I would have some interest in. What do you think about those two? And then we'll get ourselves moving.
Yeah, Marcus Smart was really, really good last time out. He was very good against the Chicago matchup. I'm going to be a little cautious with him. It's going to be an ownership situation. What comes in on him? It's a 12-game slate. Ownership is going to be very, very spread out. So it's going to be very easy to make some pivots, kind of in the sense where you can be comfortable with the ownership projections that come in at for most of these players. So it's not any reason to get too cute at times. Sometimes chalk is usually good for a good reason, and making small pivots here and there can make your lineup unique alone in a 12-game slate. So, yeah, I think those are some good, nice pivot options. And another mention, I got to mention your boy Tyrese Halliburton, $5,200 on DK. I think I'll kind of like hedge my Buddy Hield exposure by playing Halliburton over there on DK at $5,200. Maybe Halliburton gets going over there and I can cover my bases, but we'll see what ends up happening. But I'm good to go to the small forward position if you are.
Yeah, it's about time you mentioned a good guard for Sacramento, so that was nice. Moving ourselves along, before we do, the NBA package is starting at $4.95 per week. All you got to do is go over to awesemo.com/joinnba. It's awesemo.com/joinnba. We got multiple price options, whatever you would need for your game, whether that's a low tier offering if you're just getting your feet wet, want to see what we have to offer behind the paywall, or if you want to get up to a more expensive like the Awesemo Plus Platinum, anything up in that tier as well. We've got projections, the optimizer, you can get the Fantasy Cruncher add-on. Man, it's been so nice to have some of these projections of late because something like the Clippers today would not have been possible without Alex Baker's expertise on things. I guess I finagled my Reggie Jackson exposure a little bit, but man, what a great job he did today. So I feel really, really great about the fact that this is like one of the best products that you will find for the NBA anywhere. It is the best product that you will find anywhere for the NBA, and it's backed by the number one player in daily fantasy sports who's helping put all of this together on the daily. That is hard to beat. So jump on over to awesemo.com/joinnba and stop guessing and start winning. Getting to the top is small forward over here on DraftKings again. We've got Kevin Durant at 10,300. Again, out of all these three Brooklyn guys between Kyrie, Harden, and Durant, as long as they're all three in, Durant is always going to be the guy that I have more exposure to than anybody else. He's at the small forward position, which is generally harder to fill, and there aren't as many guys to be paying up for like crazy. So he's the most expensive option on this tier by $400 because then you got LeBron there at 9,900, coming off a game where he just completely nuked his old Cleveland Cavaliers. Just dropped a 75 burger on him. So somebody that I'll probably have some shares of like I normally do. I wish I had more the other night. I've been riding the Anthony Davis train, thinking that he's gonna elevate and take over this Lakers team as they're going across. But they're playing great basketball. We know what LeBron can do. That's no surprise. Jason Tatum, 8,700, who played a surprising amount of minutes. I thought 31 coming right out of the gate here. Hadn't played a basketball game in nearly 3 weeks. So it was nice to see him get out against Chicago and play 31 minutes. Put up 39 DK points. Probably not on this slate for me still. I'll wait and kind of see it there, but 8,700 is a little bit of a depressed price tag for him there. And then finally, his buddy, his running mate, Jaylen Brown, sitting down there, who only played 30 minutes against Chicago, but has shown and expressed an upside. Now you're getting a little bit of a discount down to 8,300 coming off of his 8,500 tag the other night. Talk to me about the top end of small forward.
Yeah, you're going to like LeBron James against Philly. I know people are going to be looking at that box score. He was absolutely sensational. He got mad at a Cleveland front office member, was laughing at LeBron missing his shot, and LeBron just went full on alpha mode, 0 dark 30, and just wreaked havoc against.
Why would you do that to
team.
LeBron James? But I digress.
Yeah, he was sensational and a really important piece to winning lineups on Monday night. But against Philly, I think we can always consider LeBron James, especially the 12-game slate. Taking shots on guys who you think will be the highest scoring player on the slate will be really important. So LeBron James, KD has the same bio there as well. If KD you think is going to be the highest scoring player, he totally can be against Atlanta. Obviously, with so many of these alpha players in the mix now, you don't really expect it, but it's definitely possible. Jason Tatum came back, put up 39 fantasy points in 31 minutes. I think we can definitely consider Tatum against San Antonio, but I think we need to consider Brandon Ingram yet again. Ingram is $7,500 on FanDuel, $8K on DK. Both sides against Washington. Washington can't guard for shit. I think we need to go with Brandon Ingram for sure. Your boy. It's tough for me not to like Brandon Ingram quite a bit.
You're very smart, Rinpack. You're very smart.
I love Cameron Johnson yet again. $4,600 on $4,600 on FanDuel, $4,800 on DK. Definitely like him. Jeremy Lamb, $5,100, has small forward eligibility, and Gordon Hayward taking on Indiana. $7,500, has been very, very good as a member of the Hornets. We need to consider Gordon Hayward for sure. And one final mention in the small forward position is Jay Crowder. Picked up a ton of minutes, was in the starting lineup last time. $4,900. I think he's kind of a safe option. Someone who I don't think will put up the same 38 fantasy points last time against Denver. That game went to double OT. He had a bunch of threes in overtime. I think it's safe to project around the mid-20 fantasy points on the upside for even more. So I don't mind that. And I'm going to like Kelly Oubre on FanDuel. Really like that price tag for Oubre Jr., $5,800. Was really good last time out as he put up high 30 fantasy points.
I think now is the time when I bring up the Miami Heat, who have a ton of injuries going on. Gabe Vincent sprained his ankle. You had Tyler Hero, who's going to be questionable again. You have all of these guys. Kendrick Nunn will be available, but Gabe Vincent, Goran Dragic, Tyler Hero, who was the other guy? Mo Harkless is going to be out. Jimmy Butler's still going to be out. So Miami's going to be very shorthanded. I think my favorite play at the position, and it's so ridiculous and horrible to say, but Andre Iguodala is sitting at 3,900. So 3,900, Andre Iguodala, and then Okpala might actually be in play, who played 21 minutes. Not a high fantasy point per minute guy, but I mean, I'm just curious how many guys they actually have that they're going to be able to field for Miami. I was kind of saving that up for a little bit later, but like, there's just so many issues that exist there. Bam Adebayo will be popular. All these Miami Heat guys are going to be popular because there's just so many minutes to go around. We'll have to see how all that injury news breaks out. It'll be half an hour after lock. I'm curious when we're going to get that news, when it's all going to drop down. But like, there's going to be an unbelievable amount of value that exists between Andre Iguodala and some of these other guys from the Miami Heat. Going along to like some other spots on the position, you're seeing like elevated tags on a lot of these like OKC guys like Baisley, who kind of came out and like started playing pretty solid there. He's 5,300. Now he's up to 5,600. On a slate like this, that's definitely a hard pass for me because it's just so hard to imagine like him having the upside there now at an elevated price tag of 300. Like, you really have to feel great about who you're putting into your lineups. But like for me, depending on how this Miami news breaks out, I mean, Andre Iguodala Capella might be, at 3,900, one of the more popular plays on the slate, which is just so crazy to say at this point in time. So make sure that you're paying attention to the news. Follow Awesemo NBA on Twitter and make sure that you're updated on that. So that'll be like a big key to this slate, is figuring out what to do with Miami value should everybody end up sitting out. So what do you think about that, Rinpack? And then we'll move on.
Yeah, the Miami value has been always very interesting, and it's not been too kind to us to start off. I mean, I think when Miami has been opening up this value, we need to definitely consider Bam Adebayo, and I think it's a good segue into the power forward position. Adebayo, $9,400 on FanDuel, and he's coming in.
1 second, back up from your mic a little bit, just for 1 second. There we go. We're doing the tech as we're going. It's just fine. Not too worried about it, but we'll talk about a little bit on the top end for power forward here. For sure, over on FanDuel, Bam Adebayo is a phenomenal option at 9,400. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 11,300. Anthony Davis, 10,100. And then Jason Tatum sitting at 9,600. Continue on about the power forward. And 9,400 is a crazy price tag to see on FanDuel for Bam, but man, has he earned it.
Yeah, Bam's been sensational the last couple of times out against Brooklyn. And I think we definitely need to consider him in play yet again. But there's some other good power forward options. Giannis against Toronto, Anthony Davis against Philly. Sabonis, if he's playing against Charlotte, keep in mind with his left knee situation. Zion against this Washington front court. All those guys sound really good to me right now with the way things stand. Obviously, injury situations can open up and change things in a hurry, but I think all of those guys are firmly in play. Having those guys sprinkled around, it's going to be really fun to mix and match some lineups with those studs. Pay down options to definitely consider. We got to consider Chris Boucher, $6,500, because we know what that upside can look like. Aaron Gordon's been getting a lot more ball handling duty against this pretty bad Sacramento team. We need to consider him on FanDuel. Jay Crowder's $4,800 on FanDuel. I like that quite a bit. And Draymond Green's going to get another mention on FanDuel, especially if he's going to be under 5K. I know Eric has his reservations, but I still think Draymond Green has a little bit of upside that he can show out for us. Other people to definitely consider. Porter Jr. 7K. If you think Michael Porter is going to be as good as 46.5 fantasy points yet again, I think 7K is an okay price tag for him. But keep in mind, Jamal Murray did get ejected in that game for a nice nut shot on Tim Hardaway Jr. So I think we need to keep that in mind when considering rostering Michael Porter Jr. DeRozan has power forward eligibility on DK. He's $7,100. We know DeRozan always has an upside in him. We need to definitely consider DDR for sure, but kind of rounds out the power forward position. Plethora of good options. It's really hard to, at a first look at things, pinpoint who really stands out, because it's pretty loaded power forward position. It's a nice thing to have a big slate like this. You can pinpoint a lot of good plays, and it's going to be really hard for me to say that's a bad play by any means, because a lot of teams are in good situations to take advantage of.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm looking down here at the bottom end too of power forward. I mean, a lot of the good plays have been elevated, had their tags a little bit elevated in some spots. So I really am kind of there with you. It gets really, really thin at this bottom end of power forward. I don't see anybody below 4K on DK right now that I would have a crazy amount of interest in. There are so many different tags and so much news that's going to pop out. Somebody's going to show up there. I just don't see them yet. So make sure, again, that you're paying attention to that news. Because, Vanderbilt's now up to 5,400. I know he's a high point per minute guy, but, just no thank you over on DK for that. And over on FanDuel, you've got some of those studs. Aaron Gordon is 6,800, though, and I don't know how he got that price dip. It's kind of a strange tag to be seeing for him there. I feel like he was just above 7K a second ago, and now he's back down to 6,800 in a fast-paced game against Sacramento, or a pace-up spot, should I say, against Sacramento. So somebody that I'll definitely have some interest in there. Ready to move on to center and finish this out?
Yeah, it's a 12-game slate. We zoomed through it for you guys, so let's hear it.
Yeah, let's finish it up. The top end of center on FanDuel, we'll stick over there. Nikola Jokic, 11,200. Clint Capella, 10,500. I'm sorry, just had to take a second there. Joel Embiid, 9,800. Unbelievable. He's under 10K, and the fact that Clint Capella is more expensive than him is just makes my head explode. So like, as long as Joel Embiid's all right to go, which he should be, I think he was just kind of like taking a day off the other night against Detroit. They did not look good without him. I will say that. If they were looking for a way to bolster his MVP voting, they did a great job by just like looking like trash against Detroit. So well done there. Joel Embiid, 9,800, a lot of interest. And then Vooch, sitting at 9,400, somebody that just finally put up that 50-point game that we had been looking for, 52.9 the other night against Charlotte on those back-to-back Charlotte games. So it was nice to see him finally spiking upside there. Now he gets Sacramento and Bagley and Holmes. That's got to be another great spot to be targeting. Talk to me a little bit about the top end of center.
Yeah, and FanDuel, Joel Embiid, $9,800, facing up against this tough LA matchup. But with Embiid, I consider Embiid kind of matchup proof. I think he's going to find a way to get his own against Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol, if you remember, Toronto brought him to limit Embiid. He did it. He did an above average job in the playoffs a couple years ago when Kawhi hit that buzzer beater shot. It really changed up that Philly team if you look back at things. But Embiid, $9,800, you're going to have to like him just because you know what the upside it can be. But keep in mind, it's the matchup against LA. I really like Gobert, 8K. Seems like a safe option to consider for sure. I believe he's already up in across the 30. He's at 30 fantasy points in 21 minutes to play against the Knicks. So I'm going to like Gobert. Capella against Brooklyn. I guess you're going to have to consider him if he's going to keep rolling out mid 40 fantasy points. But I'd rather find those extra 700 to go up to Jokic or save more than $2,000 and go to Ayton. Ayton's been really good without it's been really good the last couple of times out. Was okay against Denver last time, but he fouled out, so he missed out on some overtime run. But I expect Ayton to be very good in this matchup. $8,300. I think we can definitely consider him. In center, it's tough to really spend down on a 12-game slate. It would kind of make your roster lineup kind of unique, but no one really definitely stands out to me on the center position to spend down on FanDuel. Mason Plumlee has been pretty awful of late, so I'm kind of off of him. And maybe Steven Adams at 5K is the lowest I'm willing to go. Over there on DK, Giannis has center eligibility. You're going to like Giannis just because you know what that upside can be, the highest scoring. You're going to potentially have to project him as the highest scoring player on the slate. Other options to definitely consider: Gobert, 7,200. I like that price tag quite a bit. Ayton, 7,300. Man, there's a lot of good center options over there. Those two, and price-wise, could be top two center plays for me right now. But other options to consider, I think Adebayo, 8,600. We know what he's been doing of late. He's going up against his Denver matchup, so we'll see how that pans out for him. But outside of that, Davis has center eligibility, 9K Anthony Davis. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to like $9,000 Anthony Davis, a decent amount. And 6K LaMarcus Aldridge was good 2 games ago, was disappointing last time out against Washington as they blew him out. But against Boston, maybe he can get you mid-30 fantasy points at 6K. I think you'll take mid-30 fantasy points at 6K for sure. But going back to the guy you said up top, Nikola Vucevic, I think I'm going to like Vuce quite a bit.
Yeah, I love him too. To finish out the position for me too, I want to give a shout out to Miles Turner, who's at 7,500 and has nearly the same block rate as rebound rate, which was from Dave Loughran. I just thought that was so dumb. That's just how many shots he's blocking right now. It's a ridiculous amount. I expect regression there, but hey, right now he looks great there defensively. Hard to believe that he's taken a step up here now. It makes some of these other teams that were looking for a center look a little silly here when they could have had Miles Turner in this offseason. So Miles Turner, 7,500. I feel pretty good about him. And then Ayton sitting right below him at 7,300. I mean, there's just so many options at center on this top and mid edge. So on DraftKings that I'm looking at. So make sure that you're checking ownership on some of those guys. It's going to be spread out. There's going to be a lot of different routes to go. You're going to get low owned plays on a 12-game slate just by default. So make sure that you do kind of avoid like some of the mega chalk because there are going to be viable pivots all over the place. Rinpack, do you have any parting words for the people?
Yeah, no, I do. Since this is a 12-game slate tomorrow, we'd love for you guys to engage with us. And the YouTube comments, if you were to leave your favorite play on the slate, feel free to drop that comment in the YouTube comments section. Also, please hit that subscribe button for us. It means a lot. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, if you can leave us a review, we've been giving out free weekly passes over there for people who've been leaving us reviews. If you can leave us a review about the Slate Starter show, specifically about me and Eric, that'd be great, or Eric and I. So we love your support. It's we're closing in exactly a month of the NBA starting. It's been awesome. Your guys' support has been fantastic. We love the Twitter interaction, the YouTube interaction, and Sport's been awesome. That's all I really have to say. And excited for the 12-game slate, and good luck to you guys.
That was fantastic. Can't do it better myself. We will see you back here for Thursday's slate. Good luck on this behemoth little 12-gamer. We'll catch you later. Bye, guys.